Hey, deserving listeners, Love is Blind.
Anybody else's emotions, okay? Seriously.
But like, Mom, she's gonna be pissed off.
What did I just say? Literally all I want you to do is like what you want to do. That's it.
I don't know what I want to do. I don't know.
You know.
I don't know.
She knows.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, as you know, I am frequently thinking about what is really going on in their minds. I don't know if it really matters. I think it kind of matters because as things happen on the altar and after the altar, I think the landscape, if we understand it correctly, it helps us to interpret their behavior, which helps us to learn about our own psychologies and behavior. So I feel like I need to understand at least possibly what's happening. And they're saying, don't make a decision to say yes because you don't want to hurt his feelings. I think that's what they're saying. And then they're saying, I'm pretty sure you know what you're going to do, right? Because I don't know, but conspiracy theory, Colleen has already had conversations with some people, about what she intends to do. That would be totally rational, by the way, to have those conversations with your family. You know, if I had a family member who I was close to who was going on the show, I'd be like, so do you really, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Do you know what you want to do? Do you know the consequences? You know, have you thought about this? And don't do anything impulsive. Don't do anything because you're trying to please anyone else. And I would just be curious, like, do you know what you're going to do yet? Because what's going to happen? How am I going to feel about it? Especially the parents, the family. So she is saying that, but then she's saying, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. We also heard with Matt, he was saying that he genuinely didn't know what he was going to do either. Matt said, I know I'm not going to know until I'm on the altar, which I just find, there's things about reality shows that are kind of silly, like The Bachelor. I'm sure I didn't watch a lot of that show, but I'm sure there are certain things, rules, or cultural elements of that show that just seem a little silly. Like, and by silly, I mean like not really human. With The Bachelor, the little bit that I saw, they seem to really get excited about these dates. Oh, they're taking me on this date, and we need to make this date a big deal. And I'm thinking, well, what if you just connect with the person and have a conversation and see if you like the other person? I guess along those lines, another sort of cultural element or assumption about how humans are in relation to the Bachelor or the Bachelorette, the other people, the 30 or so odd randos who are trying to get with the one person, it's assumed that they all love the Bachelor or Bachelorette, which is ridiculous. I mean, the chance that, a couple out of the 30 would be into that one person is there, but all of them are 100% in love with this person. Now, there are nuances to that, of course, but I don't know. It just seems like there's certain tropes or rules or unspoken assumptions, or the producers really need to make sure this happens. I'm trying to think for 90 Day Fiancé, there's this assumption that the family members will be against the foreigner, right? Regardless of which country they're headed toward. There's also, I guess, along these lines in 90 Day Fiancé, there's this assumption that they're trying out their relationship during the 90 days, that they're not quite sure, but the 90 days is like, let's see if we're going to get married. No, that's not how the real world works. How the K-1 visa is actually laid out as you are signing off on it when you're applying for it is you have already decided you're going to marry this person. It's a done deal. You just need the 90 days to decide or to get the wedding done, right? It's just a buffer period because, it might be hard to find an exact wedding date to get everyone there. But the assumption is when you're applying for the K-1 visa, the two of you are absolutely sure you want to get married and you want to spend the rest of your life together. So, well, I guess the second part is like not necessarily, you're not signing off on that because divorce happens, but at the very least, you're legitimately wanting to marry the individual. So I think the premise on this show is like, no one knows until they're at the altar because the producers think that that's what plays well to the audience. And I just keep hammering on this idea, but anyway, point is that I suspect, what did I say? And based on what I'm hearing now, I suspect they're both a no. Because, when they ask Brennan and Alexa prior, the ramp up to the actual wedding ceremony, the day of, Brennan and Alexa, when you watch the way they talk prior to the ceremony, they talk like people who are in love who want to get married. you don't imagine if you heard your spouse saying that, like, yeah, I don't know if what I'm going to say. I could say I do. I could say I don't. I don't know. We'll just find out. Okay, that would be awful. 2, if you thought that yourself, if you were not sure, I mean, who does that? Who gets married to someone where they're legitimately on the fence until the second that they're asked if they want to marry the person? It just, no one is like that. There's just no possible way, or at the very least I just can't imagine that being true. Plus, as Matt is saying to the producer that he doesn't know what he's going to say until he's on the altar, and he knows he's not going to know. I'm like, well, Matt, stop talking to this interviewer and figure that shit out. Now, of course, that's counter to the whole show. But if we assume that these are regular human beings and not aliens from outer space with a completely different mindset, let's assume that the two of them have made a choice. Now, they could be playing up that they don't know what they're going to do, but they've already established to each other that they know what they're going to do. Like, they've already established they're going to say yes, but they're playing it up for drama because they want it to be a big moment on the altar. I doubt that's true. Because I think like Brennan and Alexa, Cameron and Lauren, I think that they treated this wedding not like it was a TV show, but it was like a legit wedding. It was their wedding, right? Their families are there. So I don't think if you're really going to get married and you intend on doing it, that you would play around with it in this way. So I'll stop yammering here in a second. I suspect that they're both a no, particularly Colleen, because I think she was on the fence from the beginning. There's a possibility she was never wanting to marry him, or she was highly ambivalent about it, because remember, she wanted to be with Cole. And then she was like, well, okay, I guess I'll find someone else. She finds Brennan. He rejects her. Then she finds Matt. So we just can't imagine that all guns ablazing are heading towards Matt, if you know what I'm saying. But let's give her the benefit of the doubt that she believed that there was a good possibility that she would fall in love and everything would be fine. It kind of looked like that in the beginning. Then they had their issues. He would get triggered to jealousy very, very easily. And then his attacks on her were pretty awful. I mean, because think about other people on the show. Think about Nancy and the way she reacted to Bartice's vocal attraction to Raven. A similar situation with Nancy. She did not attack Bartice. She was hurt by it. I think she was internalizing what was happening, but she didn't go after him. She didn't abuse him verbally or emotionally. But with Matt, that's in the direction of what he was going toward. And, I don't want to accuse Matt of anything. There's no way to know this, but the way his demeanor was concerning. And if I saw that from a client or I heard that from a client, I would want to inquire more. Now, he did show that he had insight, that he's like, I don't know, I get triggered. There's something wrong with me. And that's good that he can see that. That's a huge strength. A lot of people, regardless of abusiveness or not, have a hard time recognizing that or admitting that, particularly on camera. And so he seemed to come across like he might have some potential issues with aggressiveness, at least in his verbal behavior, emotional behavior. And, you could see Colleen crumbling and feeling victimized or attacked unfairly, intimidated, scared, belittled in a lot of ways.
On anybody else's emotions, okay? Seriously.
Like, Mom, she's gonna be pissed off.
What did I just say? Literally all I want you to do is like what you want to do. That's it.
I don't know what I want to do. I don't know.
You know.
I don't know.
She knows.
I don't know.
You see that look on her face? Now that could be a face of, look, I'm sure she knows. We understand. She probably knows, right? Or it's, no, she knows. We've already talked about it. She knows.
And I will be there for you no matter what. I will be your rock. I'll be your boulder.
It's a nice boulder.
It's a nice boulder. Maddie, I do.
Yeah, I was on the fence about, wasn't I? Right? Maybe not recently, but I remember a while back, I thought that Alexa and Brennan for sure, I mean, not for sure, but they seemed like the most likely. And I was like, well, Matt and Colleen, hard to say. I'm pretty sure Matt is a yes, because his speech and his whole demeanor after he was saying, I don't know what I'm going to say, but I bet you he did know what he was going to say. I was interpreting it as him not wanting to say no, but I'm pretty sure he's going to say yes here because, I don't know, it was interesting. I could have, it seemed like Colleen was going to say no. Now, who knows? They know they're being filmed, they're editing it in a certain way. It's interesting. Well, now I have to rethink the whole thing, because if Colleen was definitely a yes, or leaning in that direction, advice to her was, I don't know. I don't know what to think. Even the way she said I do, it seemed a little strained, didn't it? Yeah. Well, with help, with Matt getting help with his attachment issues, and I guess maybe she could get some help with, it's less, I think, desperate for her to get help, but with her, I don't know what it is, but she's talked about, given her life experiences, it's led to her not wanting to be vulnerable or talk about her emotions or just try to avoid the whole thing. She was basically saying that. There are pros and cons to that, and so she might do well with some help with that or some exploration. But anyway, okay, pretty sure he's going to say yes.
No matter what, I will be there for you. I love you so much.
Matt, do you take Colleen to have...
Okay, if he says I don't, I guess I could see that being legit, where he is like, yeah, I don't know, she the way she triggers me, and who knows what's going on behind the scenes, because most of the relationship is not caught on camera. So there could be whole swaths of experiences that we just have no idea about. But anyway, so I could see that being legit. I could also see, and I don't know why I'm such a jerk when it comes to this, but I could see them having agreed that they were not going to get married, and then he says, well, you say yes and I'll say no because I've been kind of more the jerk face or something. I don't know. So if he says no, that's going to raise suspicion. If he says yes, then that really throws everything off for me. If he says yes, yeah, that really throws off all of my prediction. But I know myself and the world enough to know that I have no idea.
You allowed me to break out of my shell. You allowed me to become vulnerable again. I was in a bad way before all this, and from a relationship standpoint. And the comfort level that you gave me and the natural and just allowing me to become vulnerable again.
Yeah, I'll comment on that a little bit. He was talking with his friends and family about how I think after the breakup, the divorce, after his wife had revealed that she had been cheating on him and was pregnant, that really was a blow for him, and it sounds like he was going through a lot of grief, obviously, but maybe some depression as well, and he went inward. A lot of men will do that. They'll drink a lot, they'll avoid, and so it sounded like it was in that direction. I don't know. And then he was saying that for the first time, I feel like I'm being vulnerable again. And I think we saw the effect of that I suspect he hasn't been through much intentional grief, but even then, it could take years for him to recover from that. At the very least, I don't think he's very healed, very processed regarding what had happened to him. And so his reactivity and distortions were reflective of that. When she was just being kind of nice, I mean, you could argue that it was provoking him, that it would provoke a lot of people when Colleen and Colt were having that conversation, but he was pretty convinced and upset and triggered and very angry, and so I'm glad that he was able to, I think, heal through this experience seemingly and learn that, okay, maybe I can open up and have an okay time. So let's see what he says.
Volumes, I love you to death. Absolutely, I do. I want to marry you. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so yes. Interesting. Yeah. Like I said, he's going to need some work to avoid being triggered and to thus avoid engaging in aggressive, belittling behavior, verbal behavior, emotional behavior. But I've worked with much more aggressive, much more belittling, much more abusive individuals and found success. So if he gets that help, I could see it really working for him. It's also possible that without treatment, the two of them could muddle their way through the experience if he gains more security with her and they learn how to communicate better. Maybe he doesn't need treatment, but it wouldn't be ill-advised for him to go. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone, please take care of yourself, really, because you deserve it. You really, really do.